dual coils to give both sleepers separate flexible support. Exclusive Simflex cushioning cradles you over the coils. With a king-size beauty rest supreme, you just kiss and lay out.
You know, I bought me a house, bought cars, Simmons provided that for me. I mean, they provided me, a living for 22 years.
This is the story of an iconic American company. For decades, it was a prized holding of top private equity firms. But in the end, even some of the world's most sophisticated investors could not keep the mattress maker from falling into bankruptcy.
Simmons has announced that it's going to be filing Chapter 11, going into bankruptcy, which is the first time this company has done it in its 139-year history. When it comes out of it, it's going to have a lot less debt. It's also going to have a new owner, a new private equity owner, which will be their sixth private equity owner since 1986, so in the past 23 years.
Over the last 2 decades, the Simmons Mattress Company has been bought and sold 5 times by private equity firms, most recently in 2003 by Boston-based Thomas H. Lee.
Thomas H. Lee is one of the country's oldest private equity firms. It was actually started by a man, Tom Lee, in the 1970s. It had a fabulous reputation. One of its biggest deals and huge successes was Snapple, which it acquired for a few million and sold 2 years later for more than $1 billion. It was a huge success for them.
At the Simmons factory in Mableton, Georgia, employees like Noble Rogers say the private equity deals over the years went unnoticed.
I never seen any owners. They never came through the plant. They never, stopped by, gave us a newsletter or anything about who the owner was.
Simmons is one of hundreds of companies bought out by private equity firms in the past decade.
Particularly during the 80s and recently, those guys have been demonized. And the reason why is because sometimes they come in and they just do deals that are bad, right? They basically say, I see an opportunity to make money and I'm going to screw everyone, and so they do. But what he's really doing is he's coming in, or she, and saying, let's make hard choices that you guys should have made years ago. Now I'm going to force you to make them. I'm going to take all the criticism, but I'm also going to get rich when it's all done.
But the private equity buyouts at Simmons put the company in a precarious position.
And what's happened with each time that it's been taken over by a private equity firm is the amount of debt on the company has doubled. So the private equity company that owned it has made a huge profit on its initial investment, but that profit translated into debt for the company over and over and over.
At a time when it was cheap and easy to get cash, Thomas H. Lee took out more than $1 billion in debt to the Simmons name, 12 times its operating profits. Some of the money was used to pay dividends to its investors.
The worst case scenario is a little bit of what we're seeing playing out right now at Simmons and a number of other companies that are owned by private equity firms.
With the monthly interest payments of the debt equal to the operating profits, Simmons had to cut costs and jobs at 13 factories in North America, including the Mableton, Georgia factory.
We're all from Simmons, this group sitting at this table here.
The pressure to produce became stronger, and I believe that was due to the fact of some cutbacks.
By cutting out people's job, it put more pressure and stress on the person that was there. Years back, when everybody was happy working for the company, that's the way the faces look. Everybody was happy working for the company.
On September 18, 2008, as workers arrived for their day shift, they were called into a meeting. They were told due to slumping sales, the Mableton plant would be closing permanently. They weren't even allowed to return to the shop floor.
And they come out and do it like they did, it could have been they could have did a better way, I think.
It really was a hostile ending. I mean, anytime you close the plant and you bring police to the plant, I mean, they brought in police like we're going to tear the place up. I mean, if they were going to close the plant, just give us a better ending.
In a September 2008 press release, Simmons said the move is part of an ongoing effort to optimize Simmons' operations network in the southeastern United States. Simmons executives declined our request for an interview, but they point to years of operating profits as proof of good management. They say nobody could have predicted the Great Recession and its impact on business.
While Thomas H. Lee Partners came out ahead in this deal, they actually consider it to be a disappointment. They were looking for a return of 2 to 4 times their investment, which is in line with what previous private equity owners had made. They walk away with a profit, but it's small. They also, though, believe that none of this was their fault. They believe they've left the company operationally in better standing than when they bought the company 6 years ago, and they also believe that what happened was sort of the perfect storm. That what happened to the economy and what happened with consumer spending had not been seen ever in the betting industry history and was unforeseeable by anybody.
After they closed the doors, the morale was low. I mean, the morale went down. People didn't know what they were going to do, where their next check was going to come from, where their meals was going to come from, how their mortgage and stuff was going to get paid. A bunch of us stayed in contact, just to see how each other's doing, but there's a lot of people still who don't have jobs.
What has happened is really the worst case scenario for everyone. So many people lose. The employees lose, the bondholders lose big, even the industry loses because there's questions about what happens to the Simmons brand. The winners, clearly Thomas H. Lee Partners and its investors. They walked away with a profit, albeit small, but a profit.